everybody, we are back again with quick turnaround this time. It's free agency, so you got a quick turnaround. Tape Don't Lie is back. Favorite Raiders podcast, favorite Raiders breakdowns. We are back, guys. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Check us out. Make sure you subscribe button, hit the like button. Go ahead and leave every single comment you want to give feedback. Let us know how you guys feel about the episode. Definitely heard the feedback from last time, and definitely appreciate all the feedback that we get every single week. So definitely do that. Go ahead and hit that like button, like I said, as well, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure you follow me and BD on Twitter. Follow me at the Mark John NFL, whatever you want to say it, or at BD Williams 18. Right, for BD. So make sure you guys follow us there on Twitter. Check out, we do little small breakdowns there too, a little bit, what I'm saying, on draft picks, on some of the free agents, whatever you want to look at. We do little breakdowns there too. And of course, just, our thoughts, some jokes and stuff every once in a while, get a little funny, but, so make sure you follow us there if you can. And like I said, one more time, hit the subscribe button, How you feeling, BD?
Yeah, I'm feeling fine. I don't know why people were upset about Kenyan Drake. When he got signed, people got really upset for some reason.
Yeah.
I guess they think that it's their money that's being spent. Who cares? So whatever. I'm excited to see what you got for Kenyan Drake. Okay. I saw a couple clips. Of his.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's been some primetime games over the years that he's been lightweight dominant,
Uh-huh.
So I'm excited to see what you got there too. And so before you get going, I want to talk about the nickel corner position when it's my turn.
Okay.
And then if we have some time, I'm going to talk about the defensive line. We already did a little breakdown of the guys that got added. So I'm just going to go through all the roster defensive linemen and their impact play rate. Stay tuned so I can explain that better.
Yeah.
So what you got for us today, man?
I'm doing Kenyan Drake and Nick Martin. So I'm doing full Nick Martin, get a full idea of what we're looking at for Nick Martin too. And, get a full idea of what we're looking at for Kenyan Drake, which, Kenyan Drake did spark a lot on Twitter itself, just not from football Twitter, but for the media and NFL altogether. I mean, there was huge bashing, which I get it. I mean, the money that he got was a lot for a backup running back. I'll keep it real. He got a lot of money for a backup running back. Because Chris Carson basically got the same money to start for the Seahawks. So, it's a little bit different money with the way it's laid out, but it's 3 years, $24 million. His is about 2 years, $14 million with incentives, which I think he's going to hit because I think he's a good player and I think he's going to come here and produce. And that's why I was excited about it. I was excited. I found out about the number later, but I was excited that Kenyan Drake is coming because I think Kenyan Drake brings an element that I'll talk about that this team really needs. And he's going to help a lot. I think it's a big signing to me. I think they try to put Lynn Bowden in this role. I think they wanted him to do this, right? But I was reading that Vic Tafur article, and Gruden's, I guess, been looking at for Kenyan Drake for a while, and they're about to sign him last year. So I think he really feels a need that we don't really realize at this point, so we'll get into that. And, let's just go ahead and get into it right now. Let's just do it. All right. So let's start off with Kenyan Drake, running back, 6'1", 211 pounds, good size, good speed. Gets that third down back ability, which I really like about him. He's just such a nuanced runner. So this is like a normal, run through a hole gap run, right? Power run. But let's check this out. Let's see what he's doing and how he manipulates linebackers at the second level, right? So watch him right here. Stop, right? He's looking at that linebacker, so that makes the linebacker suck up to the A gap, right? But the play is designed for a different gap, and that's where Kenyan Drake goes. He sucks with that linebacker. He sucks him up too. And what I like to call Kenyan Drake is an Herbalife runner because he just gets skinny in that hole. That's basically something he's really, really special at, right? So watch. You'll check it out right here. He gets super skinny, right? Look at this power run, right? Look at that hole. Look how tiny it is, right? And he turns it into 16. It's just that's learn. He knows how to run the football, and he's a good runner. He could do multiple schemes. You got split zone right here, which is something the Raiders run, right? And it looks like that it's about to get blown up, but he has good vision, right? Great vision, right? Jump cut, get 7, first down, right? So Kenyan Drake, he has some juice and great vision to read through the hole, and he's great in the passing games, right? You just see here, give him just throw the ball to him, get a little swing route, right? He's taking it for 6. He's taking it for 6 off a little swing route. The Cardinals didn't throw him the ball at all, which I don't understand. I don't know why the Cardinals did not use him like the Dolphins did. But 2018, he had 50 catches, and he was great in the receiving game. You see him there making the catch right there. This is a BD special. BD wanted this one in here, so I added it with that serious block right there. And then take the check down, right? That's what I'm saying. So this is why John Gruden really likes this guy, man. He is tough too. Look, watch him take on Khalil Mack blocking. Oh, just tough, right? Didn't really win, but that's toughness, right? And you see him here taking on Darius Leonard. I mean, he kind of gets blown up a little bit here, but you see the toughness that he has as a blocker. So that's why I really like about Kenyan Drake. He has a lot of toughness. He's a receiver. He could be a third down back. But my favorite thing is the red zone. This dude's a touchdown maniac. He's got 14 touchdowns inside the 5 the last 2 seasons, right? On 28 carries. He's a maniac in the red zone. He just finds ways to get in there. You see him stretching right there. And that's why I talk about getting skinny. You saw him getting skinny into that hole right there, and you see him just right here, just beautiful jump back he has the nose for the end zone that you love to see, and that's what the Raiders need because Josh Jacobs was not good inside the 5 last year, and Kenyan Drake brings that element. And then we got Nick Martin, which I thought this was a really good pickup. He's very, very sound center. He's very solid, especially in pass pro. And also, he brings the zone game element. You see him doing a reach block right here on the outside zone, but watch him do this perfect. He wants to just flip his hips, right? Just perfect with the reach block. That's the textbook reach block right there from Nick Martin running when he runs the outside zone game, right? And you see him doing the power game and watch him with his hands. He starts with his hands outside, but watch this is the technique that he brings. Watch it bring it back inside, get leverage again, right? It's excellent technique. You'll see from Zach Martin, always has good hand placement, right? But right here, you see it again, but sometimes he can get blown up, right? Sometimes he kind of could lose play strength and he can get blown up in the run game just because he's undersized, 299 pounds. He's like 7% percentile with size, right? But you see him here again in pass pro. He's excellent. He's excellent pass pro. Great hands. You see the technique, full control. That throws crazy. Just don't need it. That throws nuts, right? And you see him here again in pass pro. Like he gave 98 problems all day. He had no chance, right? And then you see him picking up stunts here against the Colts. The Colts do everything at this line. He does a great job picking up stunts and blitzes. You see it right there. Duke Johnson doesn't pick it up, but Nick Martin does, right? And you see him again later on here, right? Same thing. See a stunt, nice pickup, great hand placement on both of them, great base and everything, right? But sometimes when he's in pass pro, he can lean too forward, right? You'll see it right here. Against DeForest Buckner, he's kind of leaning. DeForest Buckner just throws him to the ground. Yep, just toss him to the ground. Sack. So, I mean, he can be beat, right? He's not perfect. He's not a perfect center, right? He's got some flaws, like I showed with the reach block and the run game. He's undersized. He's really, really undersized. Like I'm serious. He's 7th percentile when he was drafted, 299 pounds. He is an undersized center, right? But he has the technique to make up for it. He's such a technician, and he has a really good anchor ability. Like he has a really good anchor because he has such a good base that he's able to put his feet into the ground and just create that base and anchor. And that's what you really want from a center, especially in pass pro. And this move kind of makes me think that, we're going further into the outside zone. We've been talking about that, making Jacobs comfortable. We got an outside zone guy. He ran outside zone in college at Notre Dame, right? He's running outside zone in Houston, and that's just was Houston's primary run was outside zone, right? From what I watch, and he gets on there on the reach blocks. He gets great technique on the reach blocks, but sometimes when teams shoot those gaps, he's not able to have that strength to kind of get back in there when they shoot through gaps. And that's kind of what the Colts are doing. The Colts was really, really shooting those gaps, and he wasn't getting any help from Max Sharping. So even if he has what guard is next to him, either incognito or if it's Good or if it's Simpson, I think it's going to be a lot better communication, and he's going to be just happy where he's at because he doesn't have Max Sharping next to him, kind of messing everything up. But he was sound, man. And then Kenyan Drake, bro. I mean, Kenyan Drake is legit, dog. That's all I can say. Kenyan Drake is, one thing that we talk about the offense falling off a lot, and we went through the regression, plenty on this show. But one thing, a lot of people don't talk about with regression is the run game, right? The run game has regressed in 2019 and 2020 in the second half of the year, and that has a lot to do with Josh Jacobs not being as healthy as he can be. And that's where Kenyan Drake comes in, where he has carried a load for a team, right? He carried a load for the Cardinals. He was the guy, 200, he had over 200 carries, right? He was the guy for the Cardinals running the football. They didn't even use him as a third down back. They used other guys as a third down back, right? They didn't use him like the Dolphins did. So he, right, can come in, and just in case Jacobs does get hurt, I mean, Kenyan Drake can come in and play, right, and be perfectly fine. Yeah. it wouldn't be a huge drop off, right? It wouldn't be a huge drop off at all, right? But I do think he's coming in to be the third down back for now. I think he's going to play a lot on third down. I'll be worried if I was Rashard or even Theo Riddick. I mean, Theo Riddick could probably play on third down a little bit, but I think Drake is coming to play like he did for the Dolphins. That's why I think 2018 Kenyan Drake is coming to the Raiders, I believe, because that's what he was. Frank Gore was first and second down. Kenyan Drake came on third down when it was passing situations late in the game. Kenyan Drake's in the game, taking those check downs. He's making those check downs look good. That was what he did over there. And I think that's what John Gruden really loved. I think that's what John Gruden wants to get back to, was with Kenyan Drake. But I like both these signings, man. I really like Nick Martin too. I think Nick Martin's a really, really sound center. He's going to come in and play well. And I think he can really be a starter for the team, and they'll have somebody who can pick up blitzes and is smart and will understand, everything that's going on in the game. So,
well, yeah, let's stick on Kenyan Drake for a little bit. When I did the free agency primer for running backs, okay, I mentioned Kenyan Drake, but I didn't include him in my breakdown because I really didn't think that the Cardinals, weren't going to re-sign him. They traded for him. Correct me if I'm wrong. They traded for Kenyan Drake, right?
Yeah.
And he's a very dynamic back. I just figured that's perfect for the Arizona Cardinals offense. It's interesting that they didn't pass it to him nearly as much as what he, the volume of targets that he had when he was in Miami. So I'm not sure why they traded for him if they weren't willing to use him to the best of his ability. You saw that flag route out of the backfield, some of the premier running backs, the Alvin Kamara's and the Christian McCaffrey's, that's a big part of their game. Aaron Jones does that a lot for Green Bay's offense, right? So Kenyan Drake now is adding an element to the passing game that I'm excited to see. I know that he said in his press conference that he's going to be used as a receiver. He didn't say he's going to line up wide. He didn't say he's going to line up in the slot. I think a lot of people heard he's going to be used as a receiver as he's going to play wide receiver at times, right? Don't get me wrong. I'm sure they'll split him out wide occasionally or put him in the slot occasionally. But I think what John Gruden wants is having a dynamic outlet out of the backfield. I think that's really what that means. And you saw that, on some of those clips that you were showing when from the Dolphins, when he's catching the ball out of the backfield or even running vertical routes out of the backfield. That's definitely an element that the best offenses in the NFL have. So I'm super, super excited. Really surprised that he was actually available. So that's it's interesting. Why do you think the Cardinals didn't want to keep him? What is the deal?
I mean, he only had average 4 yards of carry last year, so he wasn't the most efficient back. But I don't think that's his game, though. What they tried to use him like the Raiders used Jacobs. They tried to turn him into Jacobs, like he was their back, like he was their the guy they loaded on. I mean, because the Cardinals ran the ball a lot more than people think. They ran the ball just as much. The Raiders ran the ball 44% of the time. The Cardinals ran the ball 44% of the time, which is they're all tied like fifth in the league. It's you know, the Green Bay, them, and the Raiders. They're all tied right around there about 44% of the time, like those running football teams. And the Cardinals were that, you know.
Wow.
So it's interesting that they tried to use him like Josh Jacobs. And I mean, he did okay in some games, but like, you know, after a while, I mean, he's not really the back that is like a creator. So if the line's not the greatest in the world, is not giving him big holes every once in a while, he's not gonna be able to hit him that much because he can't really create back there by himself. I mean, he's way better with the ball in his hands in open space when he's getting those swing routes and stuff like that, because he can just speed and he has great vision and he can read blocks and move quickly, right? And he runs very tough, so it's hard to take down in that aspect because he runs so hard that he's not easy to tackle. But he doesn't have that wiggle like Jacobs does, where, you know, if somebody misses a block, Jacobs can like make the guy miss and then, you know, cut back. But I mean, you did see a little bit of that when he was able to hit jump cuts through holes, but that was a lot of that's just vision. He didn't have to like make somebody miss. He was able to find a hole, jump cut to it really quickly because he's great athleticism, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I think that what happened there is that he was not used correctly. I mean, he literally never played a third down. Like, he never played on third down. They put in Forbes or they put in some other guy. I forgot his name, but they didn't put him on third down at all, bro. They barely threw him the football.
It's weird. It's really weird. Okay, and so the second thing I wanted to talk to you about, this is gonna like fishtail off of the Nick Martin signing, is I'm gonna give you a chance to defend yourself here. Okay. Do you hate Adoree James? Do you hate this guy?
No.
Like, well, come on.
No, I don't hate Adoree James. I don't know why people like are so upset. Like, you know, it had an hour response video to my tweet, man. Like, I don't get that. I don't get, like, you know, some people are really mad about it. And all I was saying straight up was that he has a tough transition. He didn't play very well his first transition. We're all basically kind of guessing that he's going to play well. I mean, they're kind of guessing too, based on practice, that he would play well. And like, not even 13 hours later, they signed Nick Martin, right? And Nick Martin is as sound as sound. I'm telling you, it's going to be really hard for Adoree James to beat out Nick Martin, because Nick Martin's going to come in there. He's going to probably pick up the playbook really fast. He's smart. He's going to understand zone concepts already, right? He's going to understand how to make calls. He's going to understand how to pick up blitzes. He's going to be able to see things. Like, I don't think, he's going to probably build a quick connection with Derek Carr, right? I mean, he's going to do that. And he's not going to have any of those issues that, that Adoree James will have on a learning curve. So if Adoree James was actually in plan to start, they probably would have just put a rookie in, right? Because a rookie still has to learn the league and things like that. They bring in a veteran like Nick Martin, right? I mean, I'm telling you, his tape is as sound as it can get. And, you know, he's not the greatest center in the world, but, you know, he's definitely a good solid center that is a starter. Right. And, you know, he's not, I mean, he might not be able to, you know, shut down Quentin Williams one-on-one every single play, but I mean, he's sound. He's going to call up blitzes. He always got them in the right spot. You know, sometimes Deshaun Watson would just hold the ball too long, but he would always shift it. He'd always make the call. And, you know, it's funny about Deshaun is Deshaun makes the call too. Deshaun sees it and he makes the call with him. And, you know, they had a good connection too. They would see things together. Right. And, you know, he would always get the line where it needs to be. I mean, some of the guys around him weren't very good, so they always didn't make the right read, but him and Tunsil would always be where they needed to be. Or when he would make a call, him and Tunsil would always be where they needed to be. And I think that's the difference, right? And I think, you know, it's nothing. I'm not trying to bash Adoree James, right? I'm not trying to go in there. The only reason I watch Adoree James is because I saw the report that he was supposed to start. So I was like, you know what, let me go check him out. Let me put on the tape. And, you know, I saw some things that are concerning. I saw him just getting beat a lot and kind of just, you know, and, you know, guys like, you know, Damon Harrison were kind of just working him, right? And, you know, it doesn't always affect the play. every time he's getting worked. But I mean, when you're watching this guy get tossed around and he's falling on the ground all the time, then it's a little worrisome. And we're not going to butter you guys up. So we're not, if you guys expected us to like kind of butter you up about certain players or come in and try to make you guys feel good. I mean, he's undrafted. He's going to have some flaws, guys. And we're going to call out if they have flaws. We call out everybody. It's not like we have favorites that we never call out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we call out Derek Carr. We call out every single body that's on this team. Nobody is safe from us. And we'll call out Max Crosby. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people won't do that. You know what I mean? So we come here and we just kind of give you guys the truth. If you guys don't like it, that's fine. You don't have to like everything that we say. You know what I mean? You don't have to agree with everything that we say, but we're going to give you our honest opinion based on what we see and the stat analysis. But it's not worth the worth of a response video where you like take shots at me and stuff and talk about like how I'm trying to be negative and make a narrative about an undrafted player.
I mean, and here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like you said, 13 hours later, they signed Nick Martin. Okay. I'm rooting for Adoree James. If Adoree James beats out Nick Martin, we're good. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like that's awesome. There's a lot of projection. Okay. And we're talking about 4,000 snaps over the course of his career for Nick Martin versus 116 snaps for Adoree James. I mean, come on. This is a dense offense. There's a lot of responsibility for a center. I just, don't think Adoree James is going to beat out Nick Martin. I'd be very surprised. But if he does, that's awesome. Okay, that means he's legit, and we're going to root for him. Okay, as Raiders fans. But let's just be honest. We're not going to just start projecting and hoping and wishing over here. We're just going to show you what the tape shows you. Okay, and what the facts are. All right. And Nick Martin is one of the best 32 centers in the world. Right. So he's going to most likely start. And if Adoree James beats him, that's freaking awesome for the Raiders. The next thing, some people were a little upset about John Brown. Okay. And I don't know why, because he wasn't signed for very much money. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was a pretty cheap deal, team-friendly deal.
Yeah.
And people were saying, he had 1,000 yards in 2019. And he was fast in 2019, and he was just hurt in 2020. Before you say anything, you don't even have to say anything, because I was like, okay, well, let's look into this. In 2019, okay, in a very pass-heavy offense, John Brown's only competition for targets, like true competition for targets, was Cole Beasley. Okay, they had a rookie tight end, Dawson Knox, who had like 300 yards receiving. All right, so in a pass-heavy offense, he was like a number 1A, 1B, Cole Beasley, right, and John Brown. Okay, so his market share in a volume passing offense got him to 1,000 yards. Now he comes to the Raiders, okay, where his competition for targets are going to be Darren Waller, who's the best, one of the best top 3 receiving tight ends in the NFL, a first-round rookie, Hunter Renfrow, okay, and there's going to be less targets because the Raiders are just not going to pass the ball as much as the Bills did, okay? Yeah. There's no way this guy gets to 1,000 yards. It would have to be a lot of injuries, okay, like everywhere for John Brown to get to 1,000 yards. He's not going to be a volume target in this offense. That's fine. I just don't understand why people were upset with the breakdown. It was just by coincidence. Someone put out a graphic. If I can find it, I'll throw it over, I'll overlay it over this video. But someone put out a graphic basically showing all the receivers who got signed in free agency and where they track in certain statistical categories. And at the time of that tweet, of the 17 receivers who got signed in free agency or whatever that were on this list, John Brown had the fewest yards after catch. Okay, so that's stats showing us what you showed us, that he has a hard time breaking tackles and he doesn't get any yards after catch, right? I don't understand what people were upset about with John Brown. Like, guys, he wasn't signed to be a number one wide receiver. Okay, come on. Like, Kenny Galladay got $18 million. He was signed to be a number one wide receiver, right? Like, John Brown is here to be a role player, like 3 or 4 target a game kind of guy. That's perfectly fine. That's awesome. Great. He's a good player. He deserves to be in the NFL. But he's not like a star or anything. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, but I just thought it was funny that some people were getting upset about that.
No, that's nothing that. I think people were just excited. But my thing with John Brown is that I was excited too. I was excited going into that tape, but I just didn't see what I thought I was going to see. Because he might do Glenn Rockney. He was like, "Yeah, bro, I was mad at you too."
Shout out G-Rock.
Yeah, so I was like, I get it, but I was just disappointed. I was more like disappointed, I guess. I thought I was going to see somebody that was going to be more like the 2019 guy, but just didn't have just had Stephon Diggs come over, and it was kind of different. And I actually went back and watched a little bit 2019, and I didn't see too much difference, right? He's still 30, bro. I guess that's the thing. Like he's still a little older. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, right.
Like I keep forgetting how young Aguilar was.
That route that he ran against Stephon Gilmore, right?
Yeah.
What is it? It was a shake route, or it was just a double move post?
Shake route, yeah.
Okay. Where he leaves him in the dust. Like that's all people are thinking about. They're like, oh, look at this guy doing that to Stephon Gilmore. He must be the goods, like, okay. But like there's going to be some holes in his game. Obviously, he's a receiver that is allowed to hit free agency and signs for a relatively small contract. There's probably a couple holes in the game. Let's just keep it real.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So if you don't have anything else to add, I'll transition to some of the defense.
Okay.
Imminent signings or some of the areas that they think that they can improve upon. A lot of people are like, okay, when are we drafting? When are we signing a free safety? And they're seeing these free safeties come off the board. Anthony Harris comes off the board. They're like 1 year, $5 million. Come on, Raiders could have done that, right? Doesn't sound like they're hosting Malik Hooker. Doesn't sound like any movement is happening on Boston, but Trey Boston is not going to get signed anytime soon. Trey Boston is the type of guy who waits until training camp and skips all the OTAs before he picks a team, if we're being completely honest. So if a Trey Boston signing happens, it's going to be like literally 2 weeks before the season starts. Like that's when Trey Boston wants to come to a team. So I just think, and just going off of Gus Bradley's track record, so this is not just me just talking, okay? Going off of Gus Bradley's track record, he, in the beginning of his tenure with the team, going back to Seattle, going back to Jacksonville, going back to Los Angeles Chargers, when he comes in within the first 1 or 2 years, he always drafts a free safety and starts that free safety. It's happened at every single spot that he's gone to. He likes young guys. He likes them to grow together as a unit. He likes to get his hands on them and, before they get any bad habits from other coaches in the NFL, he wants to develop his secondary. And I talked about it on the last show. They want veterans on the defensive line. Great, but they're probably going to get rookies, young players in the secondary. So I don't think that free safety is as much of a priority in free agency as maybe we thought about it earlier on in the show. Or, in these previous weeks, breaking down draft prospects and things like that. And that's just what Raider Nation thinks. The Raiders fans all across the world, they're waiting for a free safety to get signed. I'm telling you right now, it's a low probability that it happens, okay? Now, nickel corner, for me, this is just my opinion, okay? Again, this is an educated guess, prediction. I think that nickel corner is actually a bigger need for this team right now in free agency, not need overall. But need in free agency, I think that nickel corner is a direction where you need a veteran to play nickel. There's a lot that goes into it, okay? You got a two-way go. You need to understand leverages. You need to understand tendencies from other teams a little bit more than at free safety, where you're letting things develop. You have a little bit more of a runway to see things happen in front of you. You know, you're kind of out there by yourself as a nickel corner. The wide receiver can go either way. You got big slots. You got tight ends that line up in the slot. You got little shifty guys. It takes a lot to play nickel on top of now also knowing the linebackers run fits and getting in there in the run game. It's tough for a young player to do. I know a lot of people say, okay, what about Amik Robertson, right? Maybe even Damon Arnett gets some burn in the nickel if Isaiah Johnson can kind of flourish in this scheme, because Gus Bradley likes big corners. I think that that would be nice eventually. But I do think that at the beginning of the season, there needs to be a veteran to start at that spot, and hopefully someone like Damon Arnett or Amik Robertson could beat that guy out. So let's talk about the nickel corner position, some guys who are available. All right, so first guy up here, Mackensie Alexander. Okay, he has not been signed. I don't know why. When I went through his tape, I saw some very good tape. Okay, first things first, nickel's got to play the run. Okay, you see him here blitzing the run, getting in there on the motion. This is a really good example. He sees, oh, we got two guys in one gap. Let me steal over here, make my defensive end right, get in there, for a run stop against a run-heavy team. This is on his tape. He's a savvy guy. He's not the best tackler, but he's willing, and he knows where his run responsibility is. But what Mackensie Alexander is best at is man coverage. Okay, this is a great example of eye discipline. Okay, he waits before this receiver looks back at the quarterback, before he looks back at the quarterback, peeks into the backfield, gets that pass breakup. Great eye discipline there. Okay, now we're going to talk about his feet work. Okay, you see him time his break perfectly. Bam, gets up out of there like he's shot out of a cannon. Beautiful technique, and this is another similar rep right here. He's a sticky guy. He's a shifty guy. Okay, and he's got good footwork on top of that. Those are the kind of things that you need to play nickel corner in the NFL. And you also see him in other coverages. Here he is. He's in cover two. He's in zone. Gets vision on the quarterback, and comes down with the interception. Here he is in two-man. He's faking like he's blitzing, gets into a back shoulder position, undercuts this route for a pass breakup. I like Mackensie Alexander a lot. The plus is that he's great in man coverage, and he has a lot of experience in the nickel. Just not a lot of zone tape for me to say confidently that he would work in a cover three. The next option would be Adoree Jackson. He was released by the Titans, and he's a very athletic player. First thing is the hustle, man. I was really surprised to see how willing of a tackler he is, and the effort that he plays with, which is definitely something that you're going to like, or that John Gruden's going to like. And then when you see him go up against Tyreek Hill, not panic, rake the catch point, come up with pass breakups, and when you can just turn your butt to the sideline and not panic that Tyreek Hill is going to beat you deep, that means you're a great athlete. It's not even technique at that point. Now, if we're talking about technique, okay, here he is, playing in the slot. He needs to step into the release of Tyreek Hill, but instead of stepping into it and making it hard for the wide receiver, he steps behind himself, and it kind of allows Tyreek Hill to get more of a free release. He's not making the receiver work for it. Here we go. He's in the man coverage in the slot, and he crosses his feet over against Cole Beasley. You can't do that against Cole Beasley. He's going to eat you up every single time. And then this is another example. This time he does step through the receiver, okay, makes him work, rides him, but then you see the eye discipline isn't there. He peeks into the backfield when Cole Beasley hitches up there, loses track of his man, gives up a reception. So the pros for Adoree Jackson in the nickel, he's got athleticism, he's got effort, he's got ball skills. He doesn't have a lot of slot reps, okay, and his technique is inconsistent. And now Nevin Lawson, he just got re-signed by the Raiders. I think he's going to start in the slot week one if no one else gets signed. A lot of Raiders fans are upset about this touchdown that he gave up in the end of the first half against Tampa Bay. But you see him when he's able to have vision on the quarterback and some zone looks like that one, I think he can play a little better maybe. And, this is my favorite Paul Gunther play call. He gets vision on the quarterback, drops off that, breaks up this Travis Kelce pass. Here he is in cover two, vision on the quarterback, breaks this up. So I do think that maybe a shift to a zone scheme could maybe bring out a little bit better play from Nevin Lawson. Here he is, and playing the run, which is something that you got to do as a nickel. Big boy tackle, taking that running back down at the shoulders. And the pros, he's got chemistry already with these guys. He's got some position flexibility. The cons, however, we all know about the bad ball skills, and he's a penalty magnet. Right? And that's a valid criticism of him. I've been on this podcast. If you've watched from the beginning, I do like Nevin Lawson. Do I say that he's a star corner in the NFL? No, I know what he is. He belongs in the NFL. He's a good corner to have in your rotation. And every time he's been in the slot, he outplayed LaMarcus Joyner. I don't know why. As soon as LaMarcus Joyner gets healthy again, they start LaMarcus Joyner right back in the slot. Okay. But I like Nevin Lawson. I think that he's perfect in terms of, if their plan is they want Amik Robertson, okay, they want Damon Arnett eventually to take that slot position over, right? That nickel corner spot over. Nevin Lawson is that perfect bridge, right? Where it's like, okay, he's okay in the slot. If we can get a young player to outplay that guy, great, right? So I think that might be what their plan is, judging on the fact that they just re-signed him. Now, if they're still working this nickel position and they think, okay, maybe someone like Mackensie Alexander, okay? Mackensie Alexander, that's some really good tape. Okay, Mackensie Alexander's tape was fantastic when I was watching. He's constantly, just over like the years, like the last few years, been ranked as one of the best top 10 nickel corners in the NFL. You see that fantastic, twitchiness and technique that he has to play man coverage, which is a rare trait. Okay, he would require a long-term deal. He's like, look, I put it all out there. I'm not taking a 1-year prove a deal. I don't have anything to prove. Okay, so maybe the market isn't great for him for some reason. It seems like I was reading an article today about how the slot corner position seems to be undervalued in free agency the last few years. But he's going to want a long-term deal, and he's going to want to start. He's not going to want to say, yeah, I'm your bridge to starting a rookie or starting a young player. No, he wants that position all year round. And then Adoree Jackson is he's just an intriguing guy because he's a better athlete than he is a technician or anything like that. It's really interesting. If you go through his stats, he had 17 pass breakups as a rookie. Then it goes down to like 10 or 11 in his second year. Then it goes down to 6 in his third year. It's like he's just constantly getting worse and worse throughout his years.
Yeah.
At the same time, he's like a year and a half older than Damon Arnett, and this is going to be his 4th year in the NFL. Like, he came into the NFL very young. There could be a lot of upside there, but the con to it all is, why don't you just start Damon Arnett or Amik Robertson if you're going to get a player like that who's not a finished product and he's a projection? Why don't you just try to get Damon Arnett or Amik Robertson some burn in there? So, there's pros and cons to it all, but I do think that slot corner position is more of a pressing need. Adding a veteran player at that position, I think it's super important for the Raiders.
Yeah. I will say the slot corner paid because it's in Coleman. That's the main reason why slot corners are getting paid right now. Justin Coleman, he got like 3 years. And he just didn't work out. So I think that was a couple years ago where he got that money. So he was like the premier slot corner at that point. He was like, Matt Patricia was coming in. He was supposed to be like the big thing going. And it didn't work out. And is that Matt Patricia or is that Justin Coleman? I don't know. But that's kind of the reason why slot corners haven't been getting paid, because he was the last big one, and that's saying he almost got $10 million a year just to play slot corner, and
to
play nickel, and it didn't work out. So it's probably that's why it's a different market. That's why safeties keep going down and down and down. Like the franchise tag for a safety was $10 million. I was like, $10 million for a franchise tag? That's nothing, right? So that's what we see. And you saw Anthony Harris get $5 million, right? And safeties aren't getting anything. So it's the Raiders need something in the nickel, I think, because I just put Amik in there who's never played it is going to be very, very interesting if they did that. It's kind of the same thing we were talking about earlier, just kind of throwing some guy that's never played it, never played zone, never played anything like that.
Yeah,
you know,
that's a great point.
Yeah, and we don't, like I said, we don't know how Gus kind of feels about Amik either. I mean, maybe he looks at Meek and like maybe we should try him outside. You know, we don't know exactly how Gus feels about the secondary. We kind of tell that he wants to go with the young secondary, but we don't know which corners he likes and which ones he doesn't at this point.
Yeah, and in which spots. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like I've talked about this before. I wrote an article that mentioned it. I don't know if I talked about it before on the podcast, but Amik Robertson, what was he best at in college? Playing man coverage on the outside, and then going to a very heavy zone scheme, playing zone coverage on the inside. It's like two completely different worlds, right?
Yeah.
So I just think you can't say because a guy was good doing one thing that he's going to be good doing something else. You know, like you can't say that. And great point. It's just like Andre James. There's not enough tape for us to confidently tell you guys, you know, Amik Robertson should start day one in the slot. You know, we're not a fanboy podcast or a fanboy channel. So again, if Amik Robertson wins the slot, I'll be super excited. I want to see that guy succeed. It's just, you know, usually you need a veteran player to play that position, and it would be outside of the norm for a really great defense to have a rookie playing slot corner. And if you find some evidence of that not being the case, please send it to me. I'd really like to look into that. But to my knowledge, you know, you got your veterans playing there, and maybe you can have a rookie playing on the outside or a rookie playing safety, but you need a veteran in the slot.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that fully, man. I agree with that. But it is interesting to me that they haven't really added any veteran corners, right? I mean, I know they re-signed Nevin Lawson, but they really haven't added anybody else. So I think, you know, we talked about that too. And I talked about that on other podcasts. Like, what does Gus Bradley feel about these guys? And obviously, we are going young in the secondary. So I don't know if are they going to address it in the draft? I don't, you know, there's just a lot of interesting things that are happening right now because they didn't attack those things at free agency. And, you know, they did invest a lot of high draft picks into the secondary. Right? Yeah. You got Mullen, you got Arnett, right? You got Abram, right? So that's three. I mean, Mullen's a high second round pick. So, right? I mean, those are high picks. Okay, and you want those guys to hit. And Mullen has shown flashes that he can be really good. I mean, a lot of people are like, you know, when you see Trayvon Mullen out there, a lot of people like to try to make jokes, but going into 2020, everybody was like, "Oh, Trayvon Mullen, he's a superstar," and you know, going into week 13, everybody's like, "Trayvon Mullen, he's a superstar." So I don't know why we're so like low on Trayvon Mullen now. He had one bad game on national TV against the Chargers, and like he's like terrible, but he had some really good games last year too. I mean, he's shown that he could be a solid NFL cornerback. There's nothing I wouldn't even say like Mayox even missed on him. I would say that he's low key a hit to me because I think that he's shown that he could be a good NFL cornerback. And like, I think when they do like cover 3 Mabel, they're going to be trusting him to play man coverage over there by himself a little bit. And, you know, so, and then Damon Arnett too. I mean, Damon Arnett played cover 3 at Ohio State. You know, it's not that crazy to me that they're going with the young secondary. To me, it's like they kind of should. They should. And I know that sucks, but like, you know.
That's why Bradley's here. That's why he's here. Okay. They're like, look, we got to get something back on. We got to get some return on our investment. Who does the best job with young DBs? Enter Gus Bradley into the chat, right? So that's the reason why he's here. He's here to make these guys play better. They're rolling with them. What position it ends up being at what week? It could be week 1. It could be week 12. But eventually, all these young players, they're going to get their time. They're going to get their chance to go out there and play. Okay, switching gears here. Raiders didn't sign like any new players to the defense since our last since our last pod, right? Of course, by the time we get this up, they're probably going to have signed a new player, right? But so I was like, okay, what can I do? How can I spice things up a little bit? So what I did was I went and I looked at stats. I know this is a film channel, okay?
Yeah.
But I looked at some stats here because I thought that it might be a fun little thing to look at. Okay, and I looked at the impact play rate. This is, I can't say proprietary because I did use one PFF stat for this, but this is just a way that I look at players when I look at their stats is I want to look at their impact play rate. And what I mean by that is their sacks, their tackles for loss, their forced fumbles, their passes defensed. In the NFL, a pass defensed is a pass breakup and an interception combined. So passes defense counts as interceptions as well. So sacks, tackles for loss, forced fumbles, passes defense, and run stops. Now, I chart run stops for the Raiders, okay? But I don't chart run stops for Jacksonville, 2 years ago, and for Minnesota and for Baltimore. So I don't have the data for Yannick Ngakoue. I don't have the data for Solomon Thomas or Quentin Jefferson. So I asked Marcus. Thank you very much. He provided me PFF's run stops for each of these players that are currently under contract on the Raiders defensive line. So I added those all up, and then I divided it by their snap counts. Okay. So why did I do that? It's not enough to look at a player and be like, oh, he got 10 sacks and this other guy only had 3 sacks. Well, the player with 10 sacks obviously is better. Yeah, 9 times out of 10, that's probably right. But what did they do on a snap-by-snap basis, right? That's an important thing to look at, because if the player with 3 sacks played a third of the snaps as the player with 10 sacks, well, on a snap-by-snap basis, they're pretty even at that point, right? So it's a way to look at it, and so this is why I call it impact play rate. Get into it. We're going to look at the top 10 impact play rates for the Raiders defensive line currently rostered. Let's go. Let's get it started. Okay. So coming in at the 10 spot, impact play rate, Solomon Thomas. Okay. Solomon Thomas, he's had 53 impact plays over the last 3 years. That's why I'm using 3 years for everyone. 2.92% impact play rate. He's mostly made run stops, not a great pass rusher. So we'll see how he gets used by the Raiders. Coming in at number 9, Arden Key. Lots of potential, never been tapped. This might be Arden Key's last year if he even makes the active roster. 41 impact plays in the last 3 years being in the NFL. 3.26% impact play rate. He makes an impact play every 3.26 snaps. Next up on the list, Quentin Jefferson. Okay, Quentin Jefferson is mostly a pass rushing interior defensive lineman. He's made 77.5 impact plays in the last 3 years. A solid jump up from the first 2 guys. I definitely think that he adds some juice as an interior rusher. Coming in at number 7, my man, Jonathan Hankins. I love this guy. I'm so glad the Raiders re-signed him. Look at this. Oh my God. He just goes around the block and just clobbers Myles Gaskin. Oh my goodness. He should be charged with assault for that. Okay. He's not a pass rusher. Fantastic run stopper, 4.9% impact play rate. Next up on the list is Maurice Hurst. I think he's a Raider favorite, a Raider fan favorite. 66 impact plays in the last 3 years. Not going to stop too many runs, but he adds a lot of juice. Him and Quentin Jefferson are going to compete for that interior rusher spot for the Raiders. 5.19 impact play rate. Now, rounding out the top 5 is Clelin Ferrell. Okay, people think that he's a bust. Well, we'll see if he can continue to improve as a pass rusher, but he is a pretty good run stopper, 6.09 impact play rate. Most of those are run stops, couple sacks, couple pass rushes in there as well. Next on the list is Carl Nassib. Kind of justifies, I was talking bad about Carl Nassib in his contract before, but Carl Nassib over the last 3 years has made 106 impact plays, 6.27%, good for fourth best on the Raiders' current roster right now. And he's a little bit of a jack of all trades. Coming in at number 3, Max Crosby. Everyone loves Max Crosby. You know, he's only been in the NFL for 2 years. He's already made 107 impact plays over the last 2 years, 6.47%, a little bit of a jump up. But all these last 3 guys have, around a similar impact play rate. Number 2, Yannick Ngakoue. I was saying his name wrong before. 145 and a half impact plays, just by far the most on this list. Most snaps on this list, 6.57 impact play rate. A little bit of a jump up of those previous 3 guys. He's a pass rusher first and foremost. And believe it or not, number 1 on this list, David Irving, impact play rate. Okay. David Irving, 83 and a half impact plays, but he's only played in his entire career 1,118 snaps. That's the second fewest on this list. An incredible 7 and a half. He makes an impact play every 7.5 snaps for David Irving. Okay. When I saw that, I couldn't believe it. Okay. So first of all, 2 things that jumped out. Obviously, David Irving. Let's get to that later. The first thing that jumped out is Arden Key. For the most part, the bottom 5 were interior players, and the top 5 were edge players, right?
Yeah.
But Arden Key was down. He's like the second lowest on this list, right? He's like by far the lowest impact play rate of all the edge defenders. Okay. He's got a problem with finishing. He's always so close, but at this point, 3 years in, he's still making those same issues. He didn't even have a single sack this last year. He's not going to make the active roster. They're going to draft an edge rusher at some point who's going to take Arden Key's spot. I think the writing's on the wall for Arden Key. Just hasn't done enough. And then on the other end of the spectrum, David Irving. First of all, David Irving has played less snaps in what he's been in the NFL technically for like 5 years. He's like 27, 28 years old or something like that. He's played less snaps than Max Crosby over the course of his career. Right? Like Max Crosby's only been in the NFL for 2 years. David Irving has a lot of untapped potential, man. The fact that, and I did a breakdown when the Raiders first signed him, I think it was like a couple weeks in. When the Raiders first signed him, I did a breakdown. Yeah. I said, David Irving is a great hustle player. Okay. He's got some good pass rush, but he's not very technically sound. If he just improves slightly in his technique, this could be a very dominant, interior rusher. 6'6", 295 pounds. I think he fits exactly what Gus Bradley wants. Marinelli has coached him for multiple years, Dallas and now in Las Vegas. This could be a breakout year for David Irving. Sky's the limit for this guy. We'll see how much he wants it. So, yeah. You have any thoughts about that list? I thought that'd be fun for the viewers to check it out.
We got our own stats now. I see. This is impact play rate. Look at it. We're gonna have a TDL.com impact play rate. I like that. I like that. I just liked it. I just like that altogether. But that was very interesting, man. I think the top wasn't that surprising besides David Irving. I thought Danik was gonna be at the top, to be honest. Even when I sent you that list, I was like, good Lord, I didn't even know he had that many defense stops. So, especially the way he plays the run, but I was like, okay, that's a pretty impactful. And just sending you that made me a little more excited about him altogether. But yeah, I think D-line is improved, man. I'm trying not to, get too, hyped about it. I want to see some results first, after what we've been seeing with this defense and stuff like that. We want to see some results, but I mean, it's looking pretty good, man. They're gonna have some serious depth. If the guys go down, I think they're gonna keep a lot of these guys. You didn't even do Kendall Vickers, so
yeah. I didn't do Kendall Vickers because the reason why I didn't do Kendall Vickers, even though I know that he's on the current active roster, was because when I was doing my charting through the year, Kendall Vickers had a really bad impact play rate, and that was using my run stops that I chart and all those things. He wasn't very impactful. I do think though that he is a better fit in this scheme because he's a gap shooter, and Paul Gunther, one of the guys who can control the defensive line.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he sticks around. What was a little disheartening for me though, if I'm being quite honest with you, Solomon Thomas just hasn't made much of an impact in the NFL. And then Arden Key, obviously, he's on the roster bubble. And then Quentin Jefferson, those were the bottom three guys. And two of them are the guys that they added in free agency. And I mentioned this before. It's possible one of those guys doesn't even make the final 53. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see how much the depth has actually improved, but it's definitely better for sure. Definitely better. And I'll probably talk about Quentin Jefferson. I might get more in depth on Quentin Jefferson, and definitely Solomon Thomas, because some of the things I've seen on tape for Solomon Thomas are like very, very interesting. Mostly against the run, like all against the run, but very interesting. He might be a really valuable piece for the Raiders in terms of like when they go up against Dallas and if they go up against Tennessee, if they go up against the Browns, again, teams that like to run the ball. He might be a really interesting piece to have, even though he's probably never going to be much of a pass rusher from any position. But we'll probably talk about it later. That's all I got for you guys. Marcus, you got anything else for us, bro?
Okay. No, man. I like these two offensive pieces they added, man. And I think it's going to be another good year for this offense. I think it's going to be just probably get it, offense kind of just leads into, defense isn't as predictable, but offense, usually if you have a good offense the year before, you're going to have a good offense the next year. And then, 2019, they had a pretty good offense. I know they didn't score any points, get it, but they had a pretty good offense 2019. They got better in 2020, scoring more points, but kind of have the same efficiency. So I think they're pretty consistent at this point, and I think the offense is going to be pretty good. So that's all I got. That's all I got to say.
All right. Appreciate you guys. As always, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you turn on post notifications so you can get a little notification on your phone telling you Tape Don't Lie just dropped. Stop everything you're doing and watch the best Raiders film breakdowns on the internet. Follow myself on Twitter. I'll throw out some stuff, especially as free agency keeps going along. So you might get some nuggets from me if you follow me on Twitter. I am at BDWilliams18. Follow Marcus. Marcus also will be throwing out some stuff. We just saw some good stuff about Adoree Jackson, about Nick Martin, about Kenyan Drake. And if you're following him on Twitter at the Mark John NFL, you're gonna get those things maybe a little bit before, just in snippets before the podcast comes out. Thanks guys for listening. As always, be cool, Raider Nation.
Peace.